Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
I'm Lindsey Deluce.
And I'm Kelsey McEwen.
Welcome to CTV Your Morning, the podcast.
Today on the podcast, we have Toni Collette, Mae Martin, and Sarah Gadon on their new series called Wayward. Also coming up, the author and host of a new book and podcast taking a deep dive into the politics of tech CEOs.
Yeah, fascinating. Remember, you can start your day with us live weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern and 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV CTV News Channel, and on your CTV News app.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a jam-packed and star-studded episode. We've got Toni Collette, Mae Martin, Sarah Gadon, Real Housewives star Meredith Marks, and her son Brooks, Chris Hadfield, journalist Brian Stewart. There's so many great conversations. You'll know what to read, what to watch. We've got you covered.
Another big name we are about to hear from is our friend Julie Black, who spoke with me about her father's breast cancer diagnosis. Now, she talks about the importance of advocating for yourself and your family members. And also she talked about the work she's doing to raise awareness for early detection.
Yeah, always great to have her here. We love when she stops by, and a really important conversation to have.
It has been a huge year for Canadian R&B queen Julie Black, both professionally and personally. We all know she can light up a stage like nobody else. Those high energy performances have been amazing fans for decades. Offstage, the multi-talented artist is now a newlywed, tying the knot earlier this year, and she's also opening up about cancer awareness. She is sharing part of her family's personal journey. There's a lot to talk about and not a lot of time, so let's get to it. Julie Black is here. Yay! So good to see you.
You too.
When I said newlywed, all I heard off camera was,
I know, I'm squeaking still.
is that how you feel? Congratulations,
Yeah.
by the way.
Oh, thank you.
How was the wedding?
The wedding was fantastic. It was a total dream come true. Like, legit a dream come true.
What was the best part? Oh my gosh, you look stunning.
When I surprised him and I sang At Last a cappella. Nobody knew. I walked down the aisle and I sang.
Had you always planned to do that in your mind? You did?
Always, always. And he cried and it was like, oh.
Yeah, I bet.
It was great. It was great.
And isn't the weddings are so great when it's your wedding? You've got all your favorite people in one spot. Like, when does that ever happen?
Never.
Never happens.
Yeah, they all paid buku money to come to Jamaica, so they love me.
I bet. It was like so good. I think a huge part of what draws people to you, obviously, is your personality. You're so electric, your willingness to open up, whether it's about, your private life or your professional life. You're so open.
Thank you.
And that includes, raising awareness when it comes to breast cancer. And this involves your dad. Your family story involves your dad.
Yes.
He was diagnosed with breast cancer when he was 76 years old.
Yes.
Now, before we get to his story, how is he doing today?
He's fantastic.
He's
10
doing
years
well?
later. He's doing well. He went for his driver's test recently. He's 86. He's
And?
like, everyone's failing. I keep passing. I'm like, I don't know if you should keep passing. I might want to pass you on the road.
That's another whole story,
whole
right?
story. Well, he's fantastic.
Let's get to your dad's story.
Yeah.
So I understand your dad found a lump, but his doctor told him it was a cyst. How did he find out it wasn't just a cyst? What happened there?
Self-examination. The body keeps the score. He knew something was wrong.
Right.
He went into a walk-in clinic. And Dr. Humphrey, I'll never forget her name, she said, no, this is serious, and brought it for further testing. And over the weekend, and boom, he was in surgery on that Monday, Friday to Monday surgery.
Isn't it amazing?
Mastectomy, 5 lymph nodes
You're
removed.
kidding.
Yeah.
It was that fast.
That fast. He's
hard to
in the
process.
1% of men.
Well, because I wanted to ask you about that, because
Yeah.
we're talking about, your dad being diagnosed with breast cancer. Was that a huge shock to him?
Oh, to all of us.
To all of you?
You know, especially the older Jamaican man. It's like men have chests, women have breasts. You know what I mean? It's kind of this thing, right?
Right.
And but I'm so happy he was very adamant. And my stepmom at the time, God rest her, she passed a year ago, but she was with him by his side. And, my mom was around those days. It was a whole community.
Whole community.
Yeah.
And it takes a community, right? When
That's
you hear a
right.
diagnosis like that. How did your family cope with that diagnosis?
Well, action.
Yeah.
Advocacy for sure, and all of us making sure that we knew what was up with our own bodies as well. Going to those appointments with him, listening, being able to advocate, say, hey, he doesn't understand what this means. Could you explain a little further? Doing the research myself, yeah.
And also keeping a healthy mindset for all of you too. And what did you do to help that?
Oh my goodness, being present. My family was like, listen, our body might be going through something, but our spirit doesn't have it. My mom would be like, you know what? My body has cancer, I don't have cancer.
Right.
Like right now, my body has a sinus infection, I don't have a sinus infection. I'm here to talk about it, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And you had your own scare with breast cancer. What was that, back in your 20s? Walk us through what
27 years
happened.
old, yes, they found a lump, and again, it was, it's benign. They wouldn't give me a mammogram.
Well, that's what's so
You're
interesting,
too
right?
young for it. You're too young. No, everywhere. Dr. Shirley Ostroff, she's since retired. Dr. Wherever you are, Dr. Ostroff. I love you. Because she sent me down to Sunnybrook, and they put me through the cancer center, all the screenings for 5 years, every 6 months.
Yeah.
And
you're okay.
I'm okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's been a huge topic of conversation that we've had on this couch with many people that have come through and saying, you know, they really had to advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing it in younger and younger these days, that breast cancer diagnosis. What message do you have for people today?
Early detection. You know, don't let fear pin you down before you decide to get up.
Yeah.
Right? Fear could have us just take a little too long. And know that there's no shame around this. Just break this whole stigma thing. They don't even want, as far as women are concerned especially, so many women aren't even comfortable or aren't allowed to even breastfeed in public anymore. Like, let's get that self-screening. Let's make that normalized, you know, and take whatever steps we need to take.
And one of those important conversations is happening here this morning on this couch. So Julie Black, always good to see you.
Mae Martin is a well-recognized name in Canadian comedy, but this time they have gone in a different direction. With more than 8 million views the week of its release, Wayward is a new thriller series about a seemingly utopian small town and the local school's sinister secrets. The series was created by Martin, who also has an on-screen role, alongside Toni Collette and fellow Canadian Sarah Gadon.
I'm so thrilled that the three of you are here together. I was terrified to have to interview you separately, so I'm so glad you're here together.
Oh, great.
Mae, I'm going to start with you. Most of your fans, myself included, are familiar with you in comedy.
Sure.
So you are in this role that is sinister, is dark. Where did this idea of this dark and sinister role germinate from?
I don't really approach things thinking about genre and things. It was just subject matter that I've always wanted to get into. And to be honest, all my work deals with adolescence in a way, but it's just been adult characters processing their adolescence. So I was excited to dive directly into that really visceral period of life, and this is the genre that I watch more than anything, so yeah.
It's fantastic.
Dyed my hair darker so people would take me seriously. Well, it works.
It works.
Only 2 shades.
Yeah, 2 shades, yeah.
Toni, you play Evelyn, who is this complicated, I feel like all your characters are these complicated women, but she is both comforting and then she's got this unsettling energy at the same time.
Yeah.
Tell me your description of her.
Well, I found her very intimidating to figure out at first. I couldn't figure out the tone because of her complexity. I mean, complexity is something I cherish, and all of the characters are so whole and real. And I kind of came in, you'd already started shooting, maybe, I don't know, for a month or a few weeks at least. And at first, I think I did a couple of takes in my first scene where I was like an evil Marvel character or something. And I had to kind of figure out where to sit with it. But it really started to evolve quite naturally. The world is very, very grounded. And my character is like a self-appointed mayor of the town. She's incredibly controlling and manipulative. But yes, on the surface, she's there to help. She's there to please. She's here to help you grow, save you even. And then she's got weird, controlling, manipulative, underlying kind of issues of her own, which can't help but come through, because ultimately, when the truth is revealed, all masks drop, even hers.
Toni, how did you come to this project? Who called who? What was the reaction when you signed on?
Toni called me.
We had a Zoom.
Yeah, we had a Zoom.
Yeah.
We were.
It was sent to me, and they didn't really comment much about it. They're like, you got to read this. And I just couldn't believe how tonally original it was for a start, and also like just how exciting in terms of this. It is really thrilling and mysterious and hilarious, you know? So it's very hard to kind of balance all of that, and it's so deftly done. Bravo.
Sarah, talk to us about Laura, your character, because on the surface, everything is great. You and Mae, so Alex and Laura are married. They've got this new baby coming and this new house and a new job, and you're going back home. But there's a lot of stuff sitting under the surface.
A lot of things going on there. Yeah, and I think that was kind of one of the things that I loved so much about Laura and about the relationship she has with Alex, is that you kind of meet them in this utopian, wonderful place, but really the rest of the show, they're having this power struggle, and they're withholding from each other subconsciously, consciously, and that kind of relationship dynamic was something I was really fascinated by.
Congratulations to all three of you. It is a fascinating, terrifying series.
Yay, thank you.
Thanks.
The drug makers who have dominated the weight loss market with injectables are now in a race to deliver the same result in a daily pill. Pharmaceutical giants Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk both say they are in late-stage trials for a GLP-1 oral medication. Experts say this could be the first daily pill on the market. These could be. Joining me with more on where these trials currently stand is Jennifer Lake, pharmacist and assistant professor at the Leslie Dan Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Toronto. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
I have so many questions. Let's start with what oral medications are being rolled out. What's the plan?
So there's 2 oral medications really that are coming out, and they just announced their phase 3 trials, which are really the last trials before they apply for approval in countries. And so it's orforglipron from Eli Lilly.
Catchy.
I know, no brand name for that yet. So
Okay.
right now that's how we say it. And then there's an oral tablet Wegovy, which is the semaglutide. So it's an oral of the exact same as the injectable we have now.
So we know that Novo Nordisk currently has a diabetes pill on the market, Rybelsus, right?
Yes.
You may have seen those commercials. They pop up all the time. How does that compare to what we're seeing in the trials?
So very similar to how we have Ozempic and Wegovy in injections. Rybelsus is like the Ozempic oral tablet, and then we're going to have a higher dose semaglutide, which will be called the oral Wegovy.
Okay, and what is the difference between injectables and pills?
So really, they're the same drug. One of the things that's been with the GLP-1 agonists is because they are built like a hormone, when you take them by mouth, they hit the stomach acid and not as much gets absorbed in your body. When you inject it, it goes right into your blood, so the patient gets 100% of the dose. What we're seeing now is using higher doses to get the same effects as an injectable. And with the new one from Eli Lilly, the orforglipron, it's actually a bit of a different types of medication, and so it is absorbed better.
Okay, when you say better, so is it as effective as the injectable?
Yeah, so the 2 trials that have come out just in a European conference this month have showed that it's similar to the injectable Wegovy at lower doses or the oral Wegovy at lower doses. So that's really the question we have now is, if we do the oral Wegovy at higher doses, will it be a little bit better than the new Eli Lilly drug? And we don't know yet.
We don't know yet because the trial's not done.
Well, the trial is done at lower doses.
I see.
So we're seeing that the companies are coming out sort of saying, well, this wasn't the dose the 25 milligram dose of Wegovy, which is what we're expecting for the oral. It was done at the lower dose, a little bit between Rybelsus and Wegovy.
Side effects?
Side effects are going to be very similar. Because we're using these higher doses, we'll probably see very similar amounts of nausea and vomiting. And when we see the discontinuations, they are in about the 10 to 15% of people weren't able to tolerate these drugs. So that's very similar to the injectables.
Will they be cheaper?
So that's really what Eli Lilly is banking on. As we look around, they haven't applied in any country yet, so we don't know exactly the cost. But they're saying they're going to be lower cost than injectable Wegovy in the US. And we're expecting to see them apply to the US very soon. And that government has created a new program that can fast track medications if they meet a public health need, if they will make the medication in the US. And so it'll be interesting to see if Eli Lilly goes that way. And they're saying it could be an 8-week turnaround. So it'll be very interesting.
So hitting the US first, when can we see this in Canada?
So usually we see the Canadian applications about 6 to 12 months afterwards. So we would expect that it'll be sometime at the end of 2025, early 2026, which makes...
In Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, that is soon.
Yeah, which makes 2026 really interesting because semaglutide is going generic, so we're going to see a lot of different products for semaglutide injectable.
When does that happen?
In January.
That happens in January.
So we'll see new injectable semaglutides and then these new oral medications. And so it's going to be a very interesting way for people to have to start to go, what do I need?
And the accessibility of that
and the cost.
All of that factored into one. Well, this is a big talker, that's for sure. Thanks for coming in and chatting with us, Jennifer Lake. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
A new book and podcast are taking a deep dive into the politics of today's tech CEOs. Jacob Silverman is an independent journalist and author who specializes in the politics of tech, illicit finance, and political influence. And his third book, Gilded Rage, Elon Musk and the Radicalization of Silicon Valley, goes into the political shift of today's tech leaders, along with the podcast, Understood, the Making of Musk. Jacob is in studio with us this morning, ahead of the release of both of those. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
In your words, first of all, when you say radicalization, How would you define that?
We're talking about sort of right-wing, especially right-wing online politics of the kind you might have once seen on 4chan or some of these other murkier corners of the internet that is now much more present in both the Republican Party, on X, and in other places where you see some of these tech CEOs talking and congregating.
What are some of the factors that play into the fact that Silicon Valley became a target for this, and why was Elon Musk the one to usher it in?
Well, I think in the case of Musk, for one thing, there's pretty much no one bigger than him in tech, of course. Depending on the day of the week, he's the richest man in the world. And he has a kind of celebrity and presence and also a public following, almost a cultish following, especially online, that a lot of tech CEOs, even some very rich ones, don't have. And I think also with Elon Musk, he's been very vocal about some of the changes in his political views, about whether he calls it, talking about the woke mind virus, which frankly really had a lot to do with his child coming out as a trans woman and them kind of mutually disowning each other, certainly his daughter not wanting anything to do with him. And you see this elsewhere in the tech elites, that certain changes in the culture, especially social justice movements like Black Lives Matter or protests over Israel and Gaza, they have found them very alienating. And this is when you start hearing about tech CEOs complaining about wokeness, and that they feel, at least, that the culture and politics have changed around them in a way that they don't like.
Well, this marriage between the Trump White House and the tech bros, as they're sometimes referred to, you started to see the beginnings of it at inauguration, when they were in the rotunda sitting near or with the family. But more recently, they all showed up at Windsor Castle along with this presidential visit. So when you look at this table, and you know, several of them are there, Sam Altman is there, head of NVIDIA is there, what comes to mind for you when you see them all there in this setting?
Well, I think it reflects two things. One is that Trump is the most transactional of politicians. I mean, we've seen this in his relationship with Musk, where actually a number of years ago they were critical of each other. Then they, of course, made up and were great allies before the 2024 election, kind of broke up again, made up again at the Charlie Kirk funeral. The second part of that is that these guys want to be around Trump because they're looking for favors. They're looking for government contracts. And that transactional mode that Trump is known for is something that can make them a lot of money. So especially now that the government is getting into crypto and AI, they want to be there. And that's why they're going to try to be in the White House or even just around him on these trips so they can get some of that money.
This kind of connections with business and politics isn't new, but it's certainly bold and in your face. What do you make of that?
I think one word I use a lot is brazen. I mean, this stuff is just in the open in a way we haven't seen before. And we've certainly had big money influence in U.S. politics for a number of years. We've had CEOs visiting the White House, but we've never had this kind of full alignment and almost merger of interests, as you said.
You've done a lot of research into Elon Musk's life. Some of that has taken you here to Canada, of course, where he spent some years. What did you learn in researching him that tied or explained to you who he is now?
One thing that was interesting to me was growing up in South Africa, especially talking to one of his high school friends. In a lot of ways, he was just like all the other nerds, kind of. He wasn't necessarily that exceptional in the view of some of his peers, but he did have a sense of drive, I think, and a desire to kind of escape or leave South Africa. And he wanted to come to North America and to the U.S. to be part of Silicon Valley from a very early age.
Yeah, we've interviewed his mom about some of his time here and his schooling as well. Listen, Musk and Trump, we know, parted ways spectacularly a few months ago, but now we've seen them together publicly. There we go, for the first time in months. This was at Charlie Kirk's memorial. What are your thoughts when you see this handshake, the two of them smiling side by side in this potential reconciliation?
I think it's in some ways not that surprising. I mean, after the January 6th riot, Musk had sort of politely said that Trump was a little too old to be president again. And you had other venture capitalists, some of them who had supported Trump, had said, no, now it's time to move on, or January 6th is unacceptable. By the time the election rolled around, November 2024, you had, of course, Musk and other prominent people in tech. Some of those same people had changed their minds again. And I think that is really how politics works these days, and especially when there's a lot of money at stake, is that these relationships can be tumultuous, but they can also be mended when there's mutual interest on the line. So I didn't know that necessarily that they would reunite there, but it makes a kind of sense. And I think the relationship could still be fragile going forward, but there's certainly a mutual interest there, and there's a lot that Musk could want potentially from the Trump administration.
You know, as people are trying to navigate and make sense of what's happening in these two worlds and how they eventually are going to merge together and how it'll affect them, your podcast and book are a great resource for that, Jacob. Thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're listening to Your Morning, the podcast, where we bring you some of our best conversations from the show every week. Join us live on CTV every weekday, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV CTV News Channel, or on your CTV News app.
If you're looking for something to read, look no further. Coming up in just minutes, Brian Stewart joins Lindsey with his new memoir, all about his life and incredible career as a renowned foreign correspondent. But first, we welcome back Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield with the third installment of his best-selling series. Here's Anne-Marie with more.
Chris Hadfield might just be the epitome of a multi-hyphenate success. Astronaut, commander of the ISS, veteran of 3 space flights. He has lived underwater and in outer space. He's also a best-selling author, having launched a growing number of books into the world, and he's adding one more to that list. Final Orbit is the latest installment in his Apollo murder series. Chris Hadfield is once again in our studios. Great to have you back.
It is great to see you. Thanks very much.
I'd like to talk to you about the new book, but first of all, I want to get your thoughts on the late Jane Goodall. You put up a post yesterday talking about the last time the two of you met. What do you believe is her legacy?
Jane went to Africa very much as a new set of eyes to try and understand the history of life like ours, studying chimpanzees, and she spent decades there. And she became so intimately aware of something no one had ever really understood. And I think it taught us a lot about ourselves. She saw that chimpanzees are so thoughtful and kind and loving, but they're also violent, and they wage war on each other, and they commit genocide. And to see those behaviors in the animal that is most closely related to us, I think allowed our entire species to hold up a mirror and maybe understand ourselves better through Jane's eyes.
Oh, thank you for remembering her with us this morning. I want to talk about your book. This is fiction, but you point out right off the jump that many of these people that this is based on, much of this actually did happen in real people. So who's in this one? Your main character is Kaz, and Kaz is back.
Yeah, Kaz and Svetlana, the steadily brewing relationship between those two.
Is my favorite.
Yeah, she's my favorite too.
Yeah.
But it's just after just after Nixon and the Watergate scandal was over. So Gerald Ford is in there. And in the summer of '75, when this book is set, 2 women shot bullets at Gerald Ford, for real. There were 2 assassination attempts. Huh. And so that is an interesting part of the plot. And then it's got some legendary astronauts on both sides. Got Tom Stafford and Alexei Leonov, and then it's got this amazing Chinese character who came to the United States as a scholar and helped found Caltech and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And then under the McCarthy years, he was blacklisted and then deported, and he set up the Chinese space program. And that's a real guy. And almost nobody knows that story. And he was the father of the whole Chinese and their nuclear industry as well. And yet he was on his way to becoming an American citizen. So weaving that mistake of history and then how it's unfolded into the world today was a really interesting discovery in writing the book.
And makes for an interesting read as well. Listen, there's a little bit of Russian language in here, which got me thinking, how many languages do you speak or understand? Because I know as an astronaut, you need to handle more than just English.
Well, I studied French through the elementary and high school system, but I studied German in high school, but only basic high school German. And then I learned French much better when I was in the military and then as an astronaut. And then I studied Russian for 20 years, and I was NASA's director of operations in Russia. And I was the pilot of a Russian rocket ship and spaceship, so I speak Russian passably. So the answer to your question is, I guess, English pretty well. French and Russian, okay, a little bit of German.
Okay, well, that's nothing to sneeze at, Chris Hadfield. Listen, you told us in the past how much you love doing the research for this book. I mean, that's evident. When it comes to the calling the friend portion of your research, your Rolodex, if people still know what a Rolodex is, your Rolodex must be pretty stacked. Who were you calling up to help in this book?
So I called up Rusty Schweikart, who was on Apollo 9. And, he was one of the original Apollo guys. I talked to Bob Crippen, who did the first flight of the space shuttle, but he was the backup for several of the things that occur in Final Orbit. And Bob, he's retired, lives down in Florida now. I talked to Gene Kranz, when Houston, we have a problem on Apollo 13, Gene was the flight director in Houston, and Gene loves the book. He just got the copy in his hands. He sent me a note this week. So being able to call the people that were actually in the book is a real lucky benefit for me as an offer.
Listen, James Cameron seems to really like this series of books.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that we're going to see this in the film version?
We've optioned the series for movie and TV, but then someone else has to really make a huge financial bet in order to turn that into a TV series or a movie. And there's people nibbling on the line. We'll wait and see. I think it'd make a fun series to watch. And Jim has been pretty busy with Avatar, but we'll see. You never know.
That would be very exciting. Listen, if you need a spot for a newscaster, I'm here.
One of Canada's most celebrated journalists is now sharing his life and career in a memoir. From the fall of the Berlin Wall, the famine in Ethiopia, to the fight against apartheid, Brian Stewart was there, reporting on the stories for people across Canada on the ground. And now he's looking back at the last 50 years in his new book. It is called On the Ground, My Life as a Foreign Correspondent. Brian Stewart is joining us in studio this morning. What an honor to talk to you today.
Oh, honor to be here.
It's almost like, where do you start? It's one of those conversations. I'm going to start here because I know that at 14 years old, you wrote an essay, right? And it was titled, When I Grow Up, I Want to Be a Foreign Correspondent. As a teenager, what did that mean to you? What did you think foreign correspondent meant?
I thought I had been watching TV news of invasion of Suez and uprising in Hungary. And I saw these guys standing around with notebooks and cameras, and I thought, they get paid to go and see history in the making. So it struck me, you know, I've always been interested in history. I liked exciting events. So it struck me at 14, I could sit at the ringside seat of history and watch events in the making. And that's pretty much was my ambition throughout my career.
Get you there.
I was just about to go into kindergarten.
Yeah, so
I thought
cute.
this was the best dressed kindergarten guy would be.
You would be. You
right
were
after
the
this
best
war.
dressed. Oh, look at these
Early
great,
days
great.
of the print reporter.
Yeah.
The old smoky newsrooms.
Of course.
Yeah, height of a crisis in Montreal, speaking to the mayor.
Yeah.
Trying to get secrets out of him, but didn't succeed.
These are
That's the
incredible.
first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, right? I'm standing right behind him there.
How amazing. I want to ask you about a pivotal moment for you. You were in Ethiopia in 1984 during the devastating famine. You were one of the first journalists on the ground exposing that devastation, the shock you and your crew felt as you witnessed the horrors of what was happening. And then there was this moment, and you write about it in the book. You watched 3-year-old Burhan, young girl, very young, so close to death, and you write this, suddenly the child slumped into a heap on the pavement. I called to a nearby nurse. She rushed forward. And it was that nurse who told you in that moment the young girl will die, likely within 15 minutes. What was that moment like for you and your crew?
It was devastating. She had a face that stood out. It seemed to me almost symbolic of Ethiopia itself. The eyes sort of stared out at an ungenerous world. And I did a story of her because we went back hours later after we'd been told she was going to die. Me and my crew were devastated, and she was alive. They'd given her one final needle, and she comes alive. So I did another story, Life After Death. If she can survive, Ethiopia can. And the face was so striking, they played it on Live Aid with the great thing Bob Geldof and David Bowie introduced it. And she became the face of famine, seen by over 1 billion people. Years later, I was so guilt-ridden that she'd be this much influence, but we didn't know where she was. I went back to try and find her. Unfortunately, I did find her.
You found her.
We did find her, and I sort of helped the family get established in a house, her in school, and we're still in touch to this day.
That's what I find so incredible about this. You're
amazing.
still in touch. How is she?
Oh, she's great. She's great. She's married with 2 kids. She, after all of this, she's set up her own charity to work in northern Ethiopia with the poorest of the poor, children with disabilities and that. And she always wanted to help her people, and now all these years later, she is. So we zoom back and forth.
You do?
Our families, yeah.
Oh,
her
that's
family and my
fantastic.
family. So it's a great connection.
You know, that's just one example, but I was thinking about you and the work that you have done and that sort of challenge of trying to separate emotionally from the work you do, and then you come home to your personal life. How challenging was that for you?
It was very, very challenging. Some reporters get PTSD. There's another thing that often hits them called moral injury. And this is what I suffered very badly from, which is a kind of wound to the soul. When your own life is good, but you keep reflecting back on the horrors you had seen in the field and wondering if you had done enough. And, you know, nobody ever feels really they did as much as they probably should have or could have. And this tends to dog a lot of reporters through their lives and lead to real breakdowns, which I certainly had and recovered from. But it was something you could never really walk away from, and you have to deal with it psychologically and emotionally. That's part of one of the toughest aspects of the job.
Brian Stewart, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It has been called the best of the Real Housewives, and now the ladies of Salt Lake City are back for big moments and even bigger drama. Take a look.
There's things out there about bankruptcy and shoplifting.
You question every single thing I have!
Her star has risen since she joined the cast in the first season, by the way, and now Meredith Marks is sharing the spotlight with her son Brooks, who you can also find on your screens on Next Gen NYC. Meredith and BrooksMarks join us in studio. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Toronto.
Thank
yeah,
you
it's nice
so
to have you
much.
back.
We love it here.
Meredith, I want to ask you, when you think about the franchise of the Housewives, new cities are introduced, and we've seen them not do so well. Salt Lake City has done so well. What do you think it is about this group, this location that resonates with people?
I think the location is simple. I mean, it's gorgeous, and it's different than really where any other Housewives city is filmed, where you're only ski resort, and it's just, Utah's really very stunning. But the dynamics are what makes the show. We're all wired quite differently. We just sort of perceive the world in a very different way, and it causes a lot of chaos and drama and conflict, and hopefully a lot of resolution too, and hopefully learning new things by understanding how other people perceive things.
Speaking of dynamic, the dynamic between the two of you is just so lovely. We obviously love watching the two of you together. It must be so fun to work together. I know you've done it for a period of time now. I know, Brooks, you are on your own on a show without Mom. What have you learned from your mom about being on reality TV?
I feel like my mom's always taught me to be 110% authentic no matter what it is that I do, and that's definitely something that I've carried out through this reality TV journey.
I feel like those are the people that do so well. It's that authenticity chip, right? Don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, and that really resonates with you, especially when we see the two of you and with your family. I have to know, though, because your family's so direct with each other and hilarious. Is that what it's like off camera as well?
Yeah, it's
Probably worse.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty, we're very direct. I mean, that's how I am in life in general. I feel like it's much easier to just say what you think and feel directly to the person. Hopefully you can say it with some level of kindness.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot easier that way.
And Meredith, I have to say, we're now, 3 episodes into season 6. You don't seem to be too involved in the drama so far. Do you prefer it that way, or are you more comfortable with sort of more conflict? What's your happy place?
I'm not, I deal with things that I need to deal with. I'm not like a pot stirrer. A lot of the women like to start the trouble and cause the trouble. I'll respond to what I need to deal with, but I'm not the one that's going to create the mess. That's just not my MO in life. I've got a lot of other things going on that are just way more important to me than creating conflict with friends. And that's, it's just not my thing. But I'll engage where I need to, and you'll see I definitely do get thrown into it. And I think that's why a lot of times they're always coming at me, because they know I'm not the one who's going to start it.
Right. Just respond.
So, yeah. Sometimes react, unfortunately, but yes.
Makes for good TV, doesn't it? Can we talk about your career as a DJ?
Yes.
Yeah. How did this get started?
It really came about because a couple of years ago at the GLAAD Awards, we were chatting with the founder of Out Loud Music Festival, who does West Hollywood Pride, and it started with us just kind of talking about me DJing specifically for Pride, and from there it's really snowballed into a whole.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's so fun.
And Brooks, was she always a music lover in the house?
Yeah, I mean, also, I feel like you're not giving yourself enough credit. She'd pop into other DJ sets for like a few minutes.
Really?
Like over the years, and I think now she's fully just gone full force with it. I'm so proud of her. She's done an incredible job, and anyone who's been to her shows is able to attest to how fun they are.
That's awesome. Thank you. And you must be so proud of him too.
I'm beyond proud. I mean, Brooks is doing everything he wants to do. His new collection is coming out very soon. And, you know, Next Gen has obviously been a massive success, so I could not be any more proud.
It's so exciting. Speaking of Next Gen, you did mention on the show that you want to become a young dad. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Are you ready to be a grandmother?
Not today, but soon, yes. Give me a few years.
Do you know what your grandmother name would be? Like, my mom never wanted to go by Grandma or Grammy, so she is Boots, which used to be her nickname as a kid because she couldn't keep her boots on. So she went with Boots, and I know a lot of other people have, like, interesting names that they want as their grandparent name. You ever thought about it?
Well, my mom is Peachy.
Oh, that's my sister's
Which is very
nickname,
cute.
too.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Peachy.
so funny, because that's not common.
No.
I don't know. I have to really think about
maybe
it.
you have some time.
Yeah, I think I have a little time. DJ?
That's cute. Oh, that's super cute. Well, thank you both for joining us today. Congratulations on the show and your new show as well. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
Yeah,
today.
great to meet you both. Okay, Lindsey, I love that last question about what she wants to be called as a grandma. Great question.
I know, because it's a topic of conversation when we started having children, and my friend group started having children. A lot of our parents, our friends' parents, did not want to be called Grammy or Grandma or Granddad or Grandpa. For some reason, they wanted to have their own like specific name. So my mom, her name was Boots. I know, it's so fun.
I love that. It's like one of two camps, right? Like either you are really excited to be grandma and grandpa because it is a privileged spot to be in because you've aged enough. You've had the opportunity to live. You had kids, they had kids. Or that also feels really scary and like, whoa, we're already there. So Jay's mom, she's Ukrainian, so she couldn't decide if she wanted to be Gigi or Baba.
Oh, cute.
And so when my nieces were born, or my niece, Livy, when she was born, Cheryl, being the extra woman that she is, who I love so much, is Gigi Baba.
Oh, that's
She's
cute.
all of it. I love it. And then my mom and dad are grandma and grandpa. Ray,
Right.
my father-in-law, is grandpa. So we've got two grandpas, a Gigi Baba, and a grandma.
I love that question because you don't often think of reality stars as grandparents.
No, 100%,
No.
especially the Housewives. Now, this is a franchise that's obviously, I mean, this whole Housewives franchise is so popular. Salt Lake City, though, specifically, those that watch it are like so intense about it. This is a show that was popular like from day one, which has not always been the case with a lot of them. There was even a Housewives of Toronto,
yeah,
right?
I saw a little bit of it.
And they were going to pick up on that again. There was rumors about that happening, and then it never happened. So really interesting about like the intense fandom that comes with this show.
Yeah. Well, it's so true. Like there are certain shows that just have it from the beginning. Lindsay, I know that you've watched The Bachelor.
Yes!
Forever.
I took a break for a couple of seasons and then I came back. You want to know why?
Why?
Because we do such heavy news during the day. I need my bubble gum, I call it.
Yeah.
It used to be like me buying certain magazines, like entertainment magazines, but now it's a show like The Bachelor and The Golden Bachelor. There's something about The Golden Bachelor that is so lovely because I know you're laughing at me right now, but there is a beautiful arc to the story because these women and men have lived lives. They have had careers. They've had grandchildren.
Yeah.
And then they come into and they're friendly with one another. It's just lovely. I don't know. It's my feel good. Do you not have?
No,
anything?
listen, you know that I do, but they're not these ones. My girls also love this genre of reality television, and so I've told you this. I have tried to sit and watch it with them.
Yeah, but you're not picking
and
great ones.
I will text Lindsey on the side. And I'll be like, it's like getting a throat punch. I can barely handle this show.
Oh my God. So what is your go-to? Because Lindsay, you're right. Like this is it's a heavy career, but it's also a heavy world sometimes. So what's your go-to for escape?
So anything on BritBox, but also, I mean, I got into The Buccaneers, which is just like religious period. No, it's garbage. It's all like bubblegum. I mean, there's nothing correct about the history, or if it is, it's like barely correct about the history, but it's lots of fun and it's easy and it's not
easy. That's
any of the
key.
heavy of right now.
Kels, what about you? We have to ask you.
You guys, you know what my answer is.
No.
Grey's Anatomy for 20 years running.
That's very you to have one reality show.
No, it's not
reality
or
show.
escape show.
She thinks it's reality.
In my head, it's reality. Meredith and I, like, we would be besties like this. No, I love that. I love like an easy, light show that it all wraps up nicely in the end.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
You know, like a little present, a little reality show bachelor present for myself.
We're so glad that you joined us today.
And listen, I know you want more of these great conversations, so Don't forget to download or hit subscribe to Your Morning, the podcast, on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you're listening right now.
And of course, we'd love for you to watch us live weekday mornings on CTV, CTV News Channel, or the CTV News app. Start your morning with us.